retired Colonel Ann Wright, will you start for us and tell us a little bit about what you've been up to and why you resigned your post? You were a decorated colonel, and now you're on the street with the rest of us, so let's hear about it.
That's right. Yeah, everybody that's been on the streets lately, give a cheer! Hey! That's right, and thank you, Naomi and the Fresh Juice Party, for bringing all of us together on these important topics of whistleblowing and telling the truth and holding our government accountable. Isn't that something we ought to be doing? Yeah. So that's what we're going to be doing in the next 48 hours is talking to people who and in their lives have been challenging the system, have been demanding the truth out of the system. And it's not easy. And you can talk to some of these whistleblowers that are here. You can talk to Jesselyn Radak. You can talk to Tom Drake. You can talk to Mike German. You can talk to Dan Ellsberg, who have all been threatened by their government for whistleblowing, telling us, the citizens, what the government's been doing. I myself was in the U.S. military for 29 years. I was then in the State Department for 16 years. I served in places like Grenada, Nicaragua, Somalia, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Sierra Leone. I helped reopen the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, Afghanistan in December of 2001. And then in 2003, I became the third federal employee to resign in opposition to the war in Iraq. So in my small little way, I was blowing the whistle on what I felt was a horrible decision of the U.S. government to invade and occupy an oil-rich Arab Muslim country that had not attacked the United States. And many of you all were on the streets long before I resigned. You were out there on the streets telling our government not to do this. And then I want to acknowledge Cindy Sheehan, who in 2004 and 2005 very bravely stood up to the President of the United States in the most dramatic of ways, like in his face in Crawford, Texas. Yeah! That's right. Stand up, Cindy, because I know several people didn't see you before.
We love you, Cindy.
Yeah. Yeah, 29 days in the ditch in Crawford, Texas, 105 degrees, fire ants, you name it. I mean, that's talking activism. Who? And Republicans there.
Yeah, that's the word.
Oh my goodness, and 15,000 people came from all over our country to all the middle of nowhere, Crawford, Texas. In fact, how many of you all went to Crawford, Texas? Yes, yeah, look at this, yeah. So activists that are here tonight to talk about lots of types of activism. And our panel tonight is about a particular person, who's in the military, a private first class, Bradley Manning. Private first class Manning, as you probably know, has been accused of, I think it's 24 charges of varying things, but essentially it's giving out classified information. He is Free Bradley Manning, and that's the truth. And while we're talking about Free Bradley Manning, let me just say we've got some, if you don't know enough about Bradley Manning right now, and after the three of us tell you about him, we've got some sign-up things, and we've got some flyers, so if somebody wants to come and take these and pass them out while the panel's going on, that would be great, because we need all the help we can get for someone who is accused of giving out classified information. Classified information that, it's not just a little classified information, 400,000 cables from the Department of Defense and the State Department that came out and were published in WikiLeaks. Now let's just have a big cheer for WikiLeaks. Yeah.
And can I interrupt you for a second? Before we continue, we have a little video that we want to show because we did interview Christine Assange, Julian's mother.
Do you think the American government will get you?
I don't think so, but only because we have a lot of support. It really is like that. We have people supporting us, doing a lot at various levels. from demonstrations in the streets to just recently, just yesterday, 12 people went to an Obama fundraiser, paid $5,000 per person to sit at a table, and then all together got up and sung how unhappy they were with the White House's treatment of us and Bradley Manning's alleged source. So that spectrum of support is what is keeping us strong, is what is keeping these forces at bay.
President Obama and the US administration, the WikiLeaks disclosures embarrassed you and did bring attention to some of the wrongdoings of your administration and contractors and business associated with you. I believe, though, that damage that was caused by those was minimal compared with the damage that you are causing to yourself in your reaction to WikiLeaks. By trying to repress the free press, by trying to repress your people, you are causing far more global damage to your credibility than anything that the WikiLeaks publisher has done. Before they do something that they're going to really regret, both from a moral point of view and from a political point of view, that they go and read their constitution, and that could still be a shining light, a beacon of democracy for the emerging Arab Spring, to go back to that position and hold their heads up high as an American government, the free press, which is the cornerstone of American democracy. It's not too late. Release Bradley Manning, stop the persecution of Julian Assange, stop the persecution of your own people. Get back to what you're supposed to be doing, which is governing a democracy.
First, the comments of Christine Assange, the mother of Julian Assange, a man that we know has spent many years of his life in creating WikiLeaks and putting out to us, the public of the world. I mean, the citizens of the world now know so much more about what our governments are doing, what they're doing to us. And Julian Assange, who of course is under tremendous pressure, the British government going after him, and in any way that the U.S. government can get him extradited to the U.S., they are going to try to do it. So let's give a big round of applause for Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Woo! So what are we talking about? Bradley Manning, a young man, a private first class in the Army, who is accused of downloading over 400,000 classified cables, 400,000 on Afghanistan and Iraq. 400,000 cables that now the Secretary of Defense has acknowledged have had no impact on the national security of the United States and have not jeopardized any American soldier or CIA agent. That's what the CIA, that's what the Secretary of Defense has said. And yet he is now facing a court-martial that could put him behind bars for, God knows, 5 years, 15 years, 20 years, 50 years. Do you think the government's going after this young man for what we saw? Or are they going after him because we saw in a video that allegedly is what kind of triggered his concern about what the U.S. government was doing in Iraq and in Afghanistan? He saw a video that's now called Collateral Murder. How many of you all have seen the video, Collateral Murder? Yeah. Well, in just a few minutes, we're going to show you a part of a documentary that was done by the German broadcasting system that puts this really, it will show you exactly why someone, and the allegations are that it's Bradley Manning, leaked all of these 400,000 cables. Well, now I spent my whole life in the U.S. government. I spent my life in the military and the State Department. And one of the things we were always warned, boy, don't you disclose classified information because you're going to get in big trouble if you do. You're really going to be in big trouble. So here I'm sitting up here saying that this young man, this private first class, who's accused of giving out classified information, deserves our help. He deserves our assistance to make sure that the government does what it has to do. Well, we think it has to prove that he did this. We think they have to, but we're seeing lots of cases all over the place where the government doesn't seem to prove anything other than like conspiracies, get everyone on conspiracies. Well, that's why I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned about, first, the treatment of Bradley Manning, who for over a year, well, a year and a half is in pretrial confinement. And the first year of it, while he was at Quantico Marine Base, just outside of Washington, being treated in horrible, horrible ways, which you all have heard about, of being, forced nudity, of being in solitary confinement, of sleeping with, not even a sheet. I mean, the purposeful torture of this young man to get him to what? To tell something, to spill the beans on people, purposefully torturing people just as the U.S. military and the CIA have done in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and doing it now to U.S. service members. So I, along with many other people, have been a part of groups that have gone to Quantico to challenge what was happening then. And in fact, Dan Ellsberg and I, and were you at that one in Quantico? We were arrested along with 34 others out of 400 people that were there in March of this last year. Arrested because it was important to challenge what the Marines were doing. Challenge them, challenge them. And guess what? 2 weeks later, finally, because of all of the attention, because of citizen activism all over the country, not just at Quantico, but all over the country, citizen activism, the Army finally said, oops, he is an Army guy, and maybe we should take him out of this Marine facility and put him into what's called a proper pretrial confinement facility, which is at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. It doesn't sound like much, but it's a heck of a lot better than where he was. So finally, in April of 2011, he got transferred to Fort Leavenworth in semi-reasonable conditions. Then it was another 6 months before the Article 32 hearing, the pretrial hearing for this guy who by that time had been in jail for 18 months, 19 months. I mean, this is a kind of judicial process that we have these days. Yeah, it surely is. And that's why I am here to say that we the citizens have to be protecting people like Bradley Manning, who are accused, just accused. That's all it is right now, just accused. We have to force the government to really prove he did what he supposedly did, and then what are the consequences of it? I mean, when you have the Secretary of Defense that says no one's been harmed by it. But how many people have had their eyes opened by it? Your eyes open. I mean, people all over the world, because cables from the U.S. Embassy to that came out of Madrid, out of Frankfurt, out of everywhere, and showing the duplicity of the United States government, showing the criminality sometimes of U.S. government. So it's so important that we stand up for Bradley Manning, and there are things that are coming up in the next couple of months that we need to be working on. And as Ray and Dan go into greater detail with the background of some of these cables that he allegedly released, somebody was released, the importance of them, and Dan telling about the history of what happened to him as he released those Pentagon papers. Keep in mind that it's our opportunity now to really do something important for Bradley Manning. I know many of you all have been a part of fundraisers before. You've been out on the streets with banners. Keep it up. Keep your T-shirt with you. What's going to happen next? Well, there's going to be the arraignment. Bradley Manning's arraignment is going to be February 23rd at Fort Meade, Maryland, just outside of Washington. That's the formal arraignment. And then his court-martial is now looking like it's going to be in early May. And what do we need for you to do by May? We need for you to work hard in your communities to get all sorts of support. We need to ask you to fundraise to be able to send people to Fort Meade, Maryland, to join with hundreds and hundreds, and we hope thousands of people that will be out in front of Fort Meade, Maryland on the time of that court-martial of that young man. He deserves our help and assistance, and I know that you all will come through. So with that, I want to thank you all for being here at this great Whistleblowers Conference. Thank all of you all for all your work in whatever field it is that you're putting your emotions and your energy into, because it really is up to us to make our world better, and we, by golly, will do it. Thank you.